kingdoms collapse. Now anarchy reigns. You want it, you got it. Now anarchy reigns.
That's right. This is the You Want It, You Got It podcast. Today, I am talking with an old friend, and I guess I could say a label boss, Frank Hayes. What's going on, Frank?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just sitting here drinking some bubbly and got AEW in the background. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
How long we known each other, off and on, obviously over the years, but it's been what would you say?
2003, 2004. I mean, at least.
About 20, yeah, at least 20 plus years,
Yeah, I would say at least. Yeah.
I was introduced to you from a guy named Charlie who was in a band called No Truce.
Yep.
And only way I found out about him was I was looking up bands from the Salinas area because I used to go to high school there. And I was like, oh, this band sounds pretty cool. And then I started talking to him because it was the MySpace days, MySpace. He took a listen to Taken Under, and he's like, man, you got to hit up this guy, Frank, man. He has a little label that my band's coming out on. And I hit you up, and that's how we met, right? Would you say?
Pretty much. Yeah. Charlie he's a great dude.
Yeah.
Every once in a while we cross paths, and he's just, there's so few humans in the world that are like actually salt of the earth. And I really, truly, that guy was, anytime he said he was going to do something, he did it. He worked really hard with his band. One of my favorite bands when I had my label was No Truce.
They're fun.
Yeah.
I got to book them and brought them here to Clarksville for a show once. Wasn't the greatest turnout, but it's not always about the turnout, man. It's about the fun, right?
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
But as long as you had a good time and they had a good time, that's all that matters.
Yeah. So let's go and we'll start here then real quick. What got you interested in, first off, what got you interested in the music?
Oh, my cousin, my late cousin, he, just from early on, he was obsessed with, bands like the Misfits and all the hair metal stuff at the same time. I mean, we listened to, this is way back before it was cool to do this. You were either punk or you're metal at the time, but he was very much into the Misfits. Right now I can't think of all the bands, but so many bands, the Sex Pistols, all these bands. But then at the same time, but hair metal, speed metal, thrash, all that stuff, all at the same time. And so my growing up with it, I didn't know that there was divisions, and like if you were punk, you didn't really listen to metal at that time, or so on and so forth. Now it's a completely different story, but just his passion rubbed off on me, really, and then it went from there. I wanted to play music, and I started out trying to play guitar, and that didn't work. And so but I had always dreamt of being a drummer, and my grandfather traded a old beat up piece of junk car for a drum kit, and there it was. That's where it started.
How old were you? Did you say you were at that time?
16, probably 17.
And at that time, who would you say some of your influences were in drumming?
Oh, I mean, there's no doubt Dave Lombardo. I mean, the guy still to me is one of the greatest of all time. Let's see who else. I was really into the drummer of Exodus. I think that guy is one of the most underrated drummers.
Who was the drummer back then?
Oh my God, what was his name? I feel really bad because I can't think of his name. Put on the spot.
Yeah, you're good.
I know there's people screaming, it's but I can't think at the moment. But he's just super underrated. I was really into, like, I don't know, who else was I into at the time? obviously Tommy Lee. I wanted to be Lee so bad that it hurt. This is before you knew better.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Yeah, I always thought the drummer from White Lion was a really good drummer, and the drummer from Cinderella, and obviously all the drummers from Judas Priest are legends. So yeah.
It's crazy. You were listening to a bunch of hair bands and whatnot. That era of music will always have a huge space in my heart. Like that's one of my favorite genres is the 80s hair metal scene. I loved all of that shit.
That was the big scene for me, like growing up. Like I was into so many different things. But that was the focus for me. That was my focus. Sorry, my dogs are.
You're good. You're good. They just want to talk too.
And yeah, it was like that was kind of the focus. There was Headbangers Ball at the time, and so it was easy and accessible for a young youth such as my. And the Decadence, and I was never into the glam part of it. Like I embraced it because it was part of the bands.
Yeah.
But I never was fully into that part. But I love the music. Are you kidding? Give me a crazy solo, and
yeah.
If the drummer didn't know how to twirl his sticks, then he was no good.
You mentioned Tommy Lee earlier, and I was wanting to be Nikki Sixx because I think it was probably like 7th grade. I got a hit parader or something, and he's standing there, and he had his nipples pierced, and I was like, man, I got to do that. I want to be like Nick. I want to be like Nikki Sixx. So I like went and got a sewing needle and put some fucking ice on it, and then put the ice on my nipple and numbed it. I got just a little bit through, and I was like, yeah, nope, I'm not gonna be Nikki Sixx. So yeah.
Do you remember I forgot what they called it, like the metal hawk, or where it was all long on top and long in the back, but it was shaved underneath the ears and around. I did that just because Tommy Lee had that going on.
Yeah,
I remember the silly stuff you could do. I mean, I had talked. I wanted hair like Dave Mustaine, like that curly but long, and that was, to me, that was metal, man. That was, but I remember my aunt telling me that I had to get a perm. And I was all, no, I'm okay.
Yeah, I don't think I couldn't take it that far. I had long hair. I had long hair until like I was 18, and then I just buzzed it for many, many, many years, and then I let it grow back out again because like maybe I will never have a chance again to have long hair. I rocked it for about 6 years. I loved it, man, but I let the hair go.
Yeah, well, I kind of, two things. I didn't have a choice. It kind of, the universe made the decision for me. But I had long hair until my mid-20s. And then I found myself just always putting in a ponytail, and I never really did a whole lot with it. So I was, at one point I needed to get a job, and I remember I was like, I'll never cut my hair for a job. But then it was like, job? Okay. So, and then about 15 years ago, for the first time, I shaved my head, and I like, because it already looked like, what is it? The Goonies character. It felt like that's what my head looked like, and that's why I was always afraid to shave it. And then my girl at the time, she's like, no, just shave it. So she did, and I've been shaving my head ever since.
That's kind of like me. Like I never wanted to shave my head short, and then I moved from California to the South, and it was so damn hot here, and I was just like, shave my hair, and I was like, huh. Well, I didn't really shave it. I did the whole kind of shave underneath thing, but so my hair wasn't like super long, but it wasn't super short,
Yeah.
It wasn't so thick. And then I always had a thing, like I thought I had a weird shaped head, and then one day I just got the balls just to fucking take the clippers with no guard, and I was just like, all right, my head ain't that bad. So fucking 20 years of shaved head, you know?
Dude, there was a guy that ran with us um, back in the day, and he had the biggest roll on the back of his head. It was huge, and it grew things underneath. And it was like, that was my fear. I'm not
Oh,
kidding.
yeah.
That was my fear. I was like, no, I can't.
Looking like Fester.
Yeah. I couldn't do it. The roll was so huge. You could like put things in it, and like he put a cigarette in it and walk around like it was funny. And it was like, dude, I guess way to go embrace it,
Yeah,
but,
right.
I was so afraid that, you don't see the back of your head. So you're thinking, oh,
Yep.
so, but yeah, and then, yeah, well, like I said, one day I did it and haven't gone back.
Sometimes it's so much easier too. You don't have to buy shampoo, you just towel dry and go,
Yeah. Oh, dude, there's so many advantages.
um, we were talking about that guy's, the back of his head, the roll. And as a kid, man, I was supposed to have gotten braces, but I was always afraid because my stepdad would always say, yeah, you're gonna have to wear the big old like headgear, and you're gonna have to like, and, watching movies in the 80s, man, everybody would wear them big headgear. Something bad always happened to them,
Yeah.
and or they got picked on. And I told my stepdad no, so I never got braces my whole life because the fear that I would have had to wear the headgear.
Oh, dude, my teeth are all jacked up. Like,
Hey, man, we're
I take
natural.
I take good care of them. But like, when I was a kid, I grew up with my grandparents, and so I went to a dentist, and the dentist was like, "Oh, he has baby teeth that need to be pulled." And
Oh.
my grandpa was like, "Well, his mom doesn't have those teeth. The same teeth in her mouth are permanent." And turns out he pulled those teeth. Now I have two giant gaps on the sides,
Oh.
and it was like, he tried to tell him, but the doctor said he knew best. So
Oh, that's fucked up. Now, so you're in high school playing music. What was your goal at that time? Did you want to be a rock star?
oh yeah, who didn't?
Yeah.
Who didn't? And I mean, like, I'm there's been times with some of my like first couple bands that we didn't get, like, one of them we didn't get to play a gig because the gig got shut down before we got to play. And I remember being so bummed, so incredibly bummed. But I found a demo tape a few years ago of
Uh-huh.
that band, and I was like, thank God we didn't get to play.
That bad?
It was bad. It was really, really bad. We had we were called Rogues Gallery,
Okay.
and we had so much fun. And I wouldn't trade the fun for anything, but to think back about how we dodged a bullet, that it just blows me away.
When I guess I was a junior in high school. I was living in Monterey at the time, and we lived on base, and we all wanted to start a band, okay, but none of us had any equipment, okay, but we rented out studio space to go record a song, but we didn't even have a song. Nobody played anything, so I went down to the music store and bought some drumsticks because I was going to play the drums, right? So the bass player comes over like the night before, supposed to be in the studio, and he's like, "This is the idea of the song." I'm like, all right, cool, man. I'm gonna do this. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing because I'm beating on my pillows in my bedroom, So we get to the studio and we only had an hour to record the song. It was $100 for an hour. And so we run through the idea we kind of had, and then we record. And this is the only one recording. We only get one take. So I'm playing the drums and I'm doing good in my head. I think I'm a rock star. I'm doing it up. We play it back. They're like, all right, this sounds good. Hey, Russ. I was like, what? Did you not use the kick pedal? And I was like, oh, no, man. I didn't think this song needed it.
Oh, that's great.
And then, come to find out it's one of the main fucking parts of a drum set, what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, didn't need it. And the thing is, I have that copy of that song somewhere we were called Tremor, and it was just a rad name, Tremor, and it was an initial from everybody that was in the band, and it spelled out Tremor. It's pretty cool.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when I was in junior high, we were before I even had a drum kit or anything. I remember having friends, and we're like, okay, we're going to start a band. You're going to play this, you're going to play that. Nobody had any instruments or any clue what was going on.
But I bet you had a band logo.
No, actually, because none of us could draw. I still
Okay.
draw. I try, and I still can't draw. But when in Rogues Gallery, one of our lead singer, Sam, great guy, he drew up a logo for us, and he drew up on a piece of poster board, like a. I didn't know at the time that the artwork goes on the drum head. So he made this thing that went on over the drum head.
Okay.
So it was like a piece of white poster board taped to the front bass drum head with our logo on it, and it was really cool looking. But it was at the same time you didn't think, I didn't know that it was on the actual head itself, not
got you
taped to it.
Hey man, we don't know what the hell we're doing back then.
I still don't claim to know what I'm doing, but.
So, you played around the local scene there. And you're in what part of California would you call that you live in?
Central Coast.
Okay. Because I know there's, I always say SoCal, NorCal, but I'm like, what part of California is that area?
It's, San Luis Obispo, it's like an hour and a half north of Santa Barbara.
Okay. So like we said at the beginning here, I've met you through the interweb, MySpace, because you were had a label. What got you wanted to start a label?
I always wanted to open my own store.
Okay.
And I thought that having a label would be, if I couldn't open a store, that would be the next best thing. Because I always saw what bands were doing, and I didn't think a lot of local bands or a lot of bands that came on my radar got any real respect or any real help. And that's all I ever wanted to do. All I ever wanted to do was help them out until they could get to do something bigger and better. And then if there was a reward for it, cool. If not, I didn't do it for that. But if there ever was one, then I had the back catalog, and a relationship with a band that's maybe signed to a major label. Who wouldn't love that,
Yeah.
But that was the whole point of it. It was to have fun, to put out good music. But I think my biggest downfall was I was too much into music and not into genre specifics.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time when the label was around, it was all about genres. Like if you put out something that wasn't hardcore or deathcore or whatever, then people didn't know what to do. It was like people didn't judge the label on the merit of the bands. They judged it on the merit of what types of music you're putting out.
Correct. Yeah. Because like back then, every label, like, Trustkill Records, they had their little sound, and, Death Wish Record had their little sound, of their label, Bridge 9,
Yeah. No, and I didn't want to be one of them. I wanted to be something different, but not be too crazy, not, have like, hey, this is my shoegaze band, and then here's my death metal band. Like I didn't want to go too crazy. I wanted to keep it, punk and hardcore, but there are different styles of punk and different styles of hardcore. So,
what was your first release on that label?
The first release was a split 7-inch between a band called Saving Face out of Wisconsin,
okay,
and a local band from here called Almost There.
Okay.
Almost There was a very poppy, Bad Religion influence type band who were really, really good. And Saving Face were more of a male, female fronted trio, but very pop. but extremely talented and extremely, they were such a great band, and they toured. It was great because I was like, oh, they tour. So, now we have something to send with them on tour, not just, a band that's going to play here locally.
How did you pick these? How did you find these bands, and how did you pick them?
Well, some of them came recommended.
Okay.
Some of them I saw live. One of the first bands I put out was called a band called Already Dead from Southern California.
Okay. Yep.
They were freaking great. I saw them open up for Bleeding Through in a place called Ojai at a like a youth center or vets type hall.
Okay.
And I just approached them, and then out of that came two other releases from bands that those guys were either in or new. And then when I hooked up with the Wrath, they brought me No Truce, and then through that came you guys. So it was all kind of word of mouth. I found one band. This band called A Taste for Murder, which you interviewed their drummer,
Yep.
Andy. Great, another great dude. But I just approached them because there was a Bandcamp type website that I used to troll all the time, and there was this band that just blew me away. And I hit them up, and they were like, "Yeah, we're into it." I'm like, "What?" But the unfortunate thing is everything happens. It seemed like everything, like the label would be going good, the band's about to go on tour. What label support I could provide, I did. Made sure they had copies of the CD, and then something would happen. Somebody got sick, or they couldn't get off for the time for the tour. Something always seemed to go sideways. But yeah, that's pretty much, there was only two bands I think on the label that I just cold called. One of them was A Taste for Murder, and the other one was this band called Genghis Khan Job.
Yeah.
That reminded me of really much, a lot of if the Super Suckers or Crack Whores. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were, and I used to keep up with them and talk to the singer a lot. His name is Big Frank. He's an actor, does all kinds of stuff. He's been in do you remember those Capital One commercials with the Vikings?
Oh yeah.
He was one of the Vikings.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, that's pretty much how it worked, man. It was it was very organic. It wasn't, one thing I really enjoyed it wasn't ever forced. I didn't do it because I had to, or I ended up putting out 30 releases, man.
Yeah, I was about to ask. Like, I knew it was close to 30. Was All Teeth your 30th release?
Yeah.
I remember the website because the entrance of the High Fidelity thing, it was it was their album cover, right there, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And then entered thing. But yeah, that was and they were supposed to be like the next big thing, weren't they?
They were. Just with they were great. I mean, two singers. They had that whole youth crew pile up type hardcore thing nailed, and they were really good at it. And I was hoping to work more with them, and it just never. I mean, they pretty much ghosted me at a certain point.
Yeah. Did you actually press up copies of that CD too?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I've thought about since I still have the master and everything. I thought about putting it out on vinyl, but I don't know.
You have all the masters, huh?
I do, yeah. I contacted most of the bands, or tried to at least at one point, and said, "Hey, do you want this back? Do you want the extra?" You remember when I hit you up for?
Yeah, the CDs.
Yeah, the rest of the CDs or whatever. And
well, I looked the other day, and this is the CD that you, of course, released for us.
Yeah.
that shark was then used everywhere after this, which was fucking funny.
It is funny because somebody tried to call me out on it, and I was like, "We did it first, baby. We did it first."
Yeah. And you made these little cool shark with a tooth in it. The shark
Dude,
tooth
my whole thing was I wanted to have fun, and I wanted fans to get fun stuff. Like I wanted so I did for A Taste for Murder. I contacted a now mind you this is earlier in the internet days, so not everything was super readily available.
Correct.
But I contacted a medical supply warehouse and I got toe tags.
Oh, nice.
Real toe tags. And then for Fortune oh my god,
Fortunate Son.
There we go. Fortunate Son. I had dog tags made.
Oh, nice.
And then with you guys, I was trying to think of something cool, and I was like, what about like shark's teeth? And then I made those. From scratch, dude. I bought all that stuff separately, had it all printed. I stapled each one of those things.
It's cool, man. I can't believe I still even have because I was going through something and I just found this and I was like, whoa, shit. And I think I'm the only one in the band that has it.
I do have some more somewhere. I saw them. I was cleaning some stuff recently and I saw some and I was like, I'm not throwing these away.
It's funny, man. I appreciate everything you did for it, man. It was fun, man.
Thank you.
It was crazy just to see where our music had gotten all over the fucking world, whether it be on the digital streams or even in different distros over the world. It was crazy. Japan and Korea. And it's like, wow.
I got a $2 royalty check once for you guys for music that was played in Hot Topic. Like Taking Under was played in a Hot Topic somewhere, and I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah. You may want to check your distro thingy for the streams. I'll talk to you about that one in a little bit. But so you did all this cool work, man, and all this stuff with this putting out these CDs and stuff. I believe because you sent me I have a bunch of the releases, and I have the Stakes. I think no, that wasn't them. I have a 7-inch of somebody that you sent me a 7-inch of. It was a test press, and I can't remember who it might have been the Stakes. What it was with the tiger on the front cover? Was
the 7-inch yellow? With
yes.
A big hole in it? Yeah, that's the Stakes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of those bands that was. So my band, I was in Countless Shadows. The guitar player from that band is in the Stakes as well. That's what led to that release.
Okay.
And it was. I thought they were really good.
I like them.
And then I was trying to think of something to sweeten the deal with, the pre-orders. Trying to get pre-orders going. That was when pre-orders really mattered a lot. I guess they do today, but I don't think people are selling or trying to sell as much physical as they are streaming. But I did that 7-inch of a live show, 2 live songs. One was a cover and one wasn't. And it was just something to give away just to sweeten the deal. I got a screaming deal on those 7-inches. And I didn't have anything to press at the time. And so that's what made me do that. I was like, I'll do this.
Where were you getting your stuff printed at?
Let's see. I did Erica, United, Pirates Press, and that's it.
How many of those records? I mean, how many of those releases were on vinyl?
Only a handful. The Until the Fall 12-inch picture disc.
Yeah, that looks rad. I don't know where I just saw that recently, but I came upon it somewhere and I'm like, damn, that looks just like the cover.
Yeah. The band really pushed for that. I don't like picture discs per se, but they paid for it actually because they wanted it to happen. So they were the ones in front of the money for that. But So there's that. Fortunate Son 7-inch. Pressure was a CD, and then somebody else did the 7-inch. The Wrath was a 7-inch. The Almost There 7-inch. Trying to think what else was there. Oh, there's the Shilling 7-inch.
I gotta go through and see, because I have that right here because I had pulled out a few CDs. I have the Until It End right there too.
Yeah.
Who did that artwork? Do you know?
So I'm blanking on dude's name. It should be in there. He was friends with the band. He was the singer for the band You're Next, which I did a 7-inch with as well.
Yeah, I just saw that in the scrolling thing there. Let's see. The layout by Frank Hayes. No, artwork by Sean Stroup.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool dude, great artist. I wonder what happened to that dude. I hope he's doing well. But he did that. He did the cover for the You're Next. I tried to book him to do a couple other things, but he was really busy at the time. And then he was doing logos for other bands. I think that band, The Vows. He did their logo and a couple other like hardcore bands. They were San Diego guys.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's so what was I gonna say? Your band, Countless Shadows. I still jam that. Actually, I was actually jamming that because I have an iPod with all my old music on it, and I just put it in there and just hit shuffle, and that came on, and I was like, "What is this?" And I went back and I remembered it, but I didn't remember it. And then once I saw the cover, I knew exactly what it was because that cover is pretty dope.
Which cover?
The one with the old traditional tattoo art.
Yeah. Okay. The Samurai.
Yeah. That's the first one, right?
That's the second one. That's the one I'm on. The first one I'm not on.
Okay.
Another guy named Joe is on that one.
Got you. How'd you get into that band?
I'm just friends. You know, they're all local guys. I was friends with them, and I had approached them about putting out a record. And then, well, it was going to be a split because it was the split with Until the Fall. That was their first thing, and then their drummer was really good. He didn't know hardcore at all, right? So when they would say do this, he would do like some weird like Tool fill or something. Like he was really proficient, but it just when you're playing hardcore, you kind of have to know hardcore. Like it's very specific. And so they were like, "Hey, are you interested?" And I remember my wife at the time, who we're not together anymore, but I remember at the time I looked at her and she was like, "Do it." I was like, "All right." And I went out and bought a new drum kit for that gig because I didn't have one at the time. I had gotten rid of my drums. And I bought a new kit, and yeah, it was definitely fuel the fire, man, for sure.
Another band on the label that I really liked, and I like once they were there, then they were just gone. The Leiden Murder.
Oh, Linden Murder.
They were really good, and then they just disappeared.
That's kind of how all those bands were kind of, you know. Linden Murder was awesome because I did a 3-way split with them and a local band and another band. And to this day, one of my favorite vocalists was a guy that was in the band Velvet Dawn, which was on that split with the Linden Murder. But Linden Murder was, do you remember what was it called? The Kung Fu no, not. I can't remember, but it was a famous kind of like venue. What it was a dojo.
Okay.
By day and then venue by night. And this guy Justin, his dad was the head sensei, and then he was a teacher as well. And he was the vocalist of Linden Murder. That was his baby.
Oh wow!
And he decided to move away at one point. I think something was going on personally. I don't know any details or anything, but he just kind of up and poofed. and the band kind of died after that from that. But they were fun. They were really, really fun. That kid, man, he was small, but he would do like these like flying wheel kicks and all this crazy stuff, and because he had the martial arts background, and it was just wild looking.
I was looking the other day on Discogs, and I'd added Taken Under and to it because Taken Under wasn't in there, so I added Taken Under to it and put the Silence Your Enemies in there, and then our last album we just released, Harbinger. And the other day I go in there, I always go in there, look, see if anyone's edited it or changed anything. Somebody actually bought that CD on September 5th of 2024 for $15.
Wow.
From somebody else.
Hey.
And I'm like, damn, you guys sold it for more than we fucking sold it for, you know?
I'll tell you what though, I mean, it'll might take a little bit longer, but those all that stuff, I had so much product that didn't sell that I couldn't keep anymore. That's why I was trying to give it to the bands at the end, and the rest of it ended up in the landfill, man.
Hey man, it's gonna be like that ET game, man. You might be just digging one day and you might just find the gem.
I know. I mean, I hated that had to happen, but
yeah,
it was just paying for storage. But the point I'm to make is that, that means that, there was only one pressing of 1,000 total. And, I can't tell you how many actually sold, but that means that there's not that many out there in the grand scheme of things. So
what you're saying is Taken Under needs to get back together and get real big real fast, and then those I could sell this one I have right here for a couple $1,000.
Well, I don't know about a couple thousand, maybe a couple hundred, but
okay. Well, I could dream.
Well, even some of the most rare stuff doesn't go for thousands, at least on CD. But yeah, that's the thing though. A lot of that stuff it's pretty rare now.
Yeah,
I can say that with a straight face and mean it. Everybody's throwing the limited edition thing around.
Yeah, man. There's so many and so many limited editions. So many. Oh, it's Friday. We're gonna put out this new pressing of this. It's the February 13th pressing. Which is, don't get me wrong. I will buy anything that comes out of Terror, no matter how many pressings I have. But I saw, earlier last week, I was going through your Instagram. I was hacking you. I was stalking you. I saw some Junkyard in there.
Oh yeah, I love that band, dude.
Man, it's crazy to even think about who's in the band too. You know what I'm saying? It's just it's wild, man.
Well, Brian Baker's not in the band anymore, but he used to be.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying though. It's just like wow, But that band is great. I wish I could have seen them. Never had the opportunity to. They don't come through Nashville, which is surprisingly shocking because LA Guns has been here like 3 times in the last year, which is cool because they still rock.
Yeah, dude. I was working at the record store, and the drummer Patrick, him and his wife, I believe, came through, and I was like, God, that guy looks really familiar. One of those kind of things, and I was like, and I think she kind of like spilled the beans on him, if I remember correctly. I was like, oh yeah, he's the drummer, and I was like, shut the front door, right? And I can't really say that we're friends or even acquaintances, but he does. If I DM him on Instagram, he always hits me back. So, but he's super nice guy, like super humble, like he's one of those guys you like to watch him play because he has a unique way he sets up his kit. The guy plays a 16-inch snare drum.
Damn.
Custom made from DW. Plus he tilts it towards himself. like a jazz drummer, the jazz drummers used to do.
Yeah.
He's great to watch. But yeah, that's how that came about. And I tried to book them up here, but they either want too much money or everybody's too afraid that they're not going to sell. So
yeah, that sucks, man. That would be great, man. And that's probably the reason, probably for Nashville. But hell, everybody lives in Nashville these days. You got all these old '80s hair dudes lives in Nashville. Striper and fucking members of the Crew and Skid Row.
Oh yeah,
they all live there. Obviously you've seen Junkyard?
I've never seen them, dude. Wow. I saw LA Guns, but for the first time, right before New Year's this year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they were great, dude. They were fantastic. It was like, you looked at them and you're like, my memory, you don't look like what I remember, but you sound like what I remember. And you could tell they were having a good time, and that translated very, very well.
Oh, they still sound so good, It's like, and they don't care where they're playing these days either. They're just happy to be playing, and they give it, like you said, they give it 100%. It's like, I've seen George Lynch lately, with Lynch Mob, and they're playing some of the smallest venues that I've seen, like someone like him would be playing, but they're up there doing their thing, it's awesome to see that still.
We have this little local club here called the Siren. And it's a great little place. The guy who's running, his name is Monty. He's a stellar dude. And he's brought like Burning Witches a couple times.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Exciter played there with Hell Witch and Midnight. That was a great.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But that's where I've been trying to get Junkyard to play. But he brought Adrian Smith and Richie Kotzen to town.
Nice,
dude. And this place is tiny, man. Like it's for somebody like Adrian Smith to be playing that small of a place. I was blown away by it, but it was great.
Yeah. Did you see Faster Pussycats at all?
Did I see who?
Faster Pussycats?
No, I've never seen Faster Pussycat.
I know they were doing they're doing their tour every once in a while, but I know I saw a couple of years ago here in Clarksville, of all places, I got to see Bullet Boys and Enough's Enough.
Rad.
That was pretty cool.
Didn't Bullet Boys already break up again?
Oh, I don't know. What's today? Is today the February the 12th? I think you might be right.
Not last summer. The last summer I saw Slaughter.
Oh, okay. Like I love that band, and it sucks because they literally played a couple minutes down the road at this casino we have now, and I didn't get to go. It was Slaughter, Great White, and somebody else. But anyway, how was Slaughter?
Awful.
Yeah, he don't have it no more, does he?
No, and I really feel bad because I really like that band, and
yeah.
Their stage volume is too loud because they're going deaf, and so it creates this weird, like where I saw them, it created a weird, like, kind of a phasing effect because the stage volume was too loud and it was competing with the PA. Then he does this, like, you know how an R&B singer will do what I call the vocal Olympics, where it'll be like, it goes up.
Yeah.
Well, he was trying to do that, but was so far out of key. Oh. And then he tried to keep it going like he was doing it on purpose. And it was just like, my friend and I, who are both really big fans, we were just so bummed because the musicianship was still there. It was just his voice didn't sound that great. It was sad. It could have been because it was outside. He could have had a bad night. I don't want to. I try to take try to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll tell you what I saw a couple years ago at the fair was Skid Row, Warrant, Quiet Riot, and Kip Winger.
Okay, now Quiet Riot, like, is there even an original member left in the band?
So technically, I think no. I could be wrong, but Rudy Sarzo is playing bass for them.
Oh, that's
And
right. That's right.
He is an OG, but I don't think he is an original member. Like I
Right.
think he came in a little bit later, but that's all right.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
tell you
yeah.
what's funny though is of that whole tour, the only one that's the original singer of their band was Kip Winger.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he played solo acoustic at the
Oh,
beginning.
I've seen that. I've seen him do that.
And it was great. It was great. Skid Row, that kid that they had singing that's no longer with them,
Oh, Eric?
he crushed it. The dude that sings for Warrant rather was great, but the best
Yeah.
band of the whole night had the most energy, the most everything was Quiet Riot, dude.
Yeah.
Jizzy Pearl sings for him, and that
Oh,
guy,
wow. Wow. Yeah, yeah. Love hate.
yeah, and also the drummer is the Typo Negative drummer.
Oh, nice, nice.
So and then Rudy Sarzo, the energy level was unmatched by the other band.
Yeah.
Like I would go pay to see them again, and I was never a huge Quiet Riot fan.
I like how you said the state fair, and I wasn't the state fair, but the fair, and that's funny because it's like that's where those bands play now. But they get it; they're getting a good crowd still. People go like you and I go and watch them. You know,
I look forward to seeing who's going to play next year, kind of thing. You know, like
yeah, I love all that. I still love that music, man. Even the new LA Gun single that just got released the other day is really good. You know, I like.
Oh
it.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, congratulations to them for being signed to Cleopatra.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That label always. I just bought something from them recently. Remember that band Sponge?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just bought their cover album called 1994, and they covered songs from obviously that era. And man, that dude can sing some shit I didn't think he could sing. So pretty good. No, I had saw Kip Winger play acoustically as well once, and it was Kip Winger playing acoustic with Tom Kiefer from Cinderella.
I would have loved to seen that.
Dude, Tom still has it, you know what I'm saying? A little bit off, but
dude, those guys abuse the hell out of themselves.
Oh yeah.
They get a hard pass from me to a certain extent.
Here's my thing. No one's ever done it like this before. It's the first time that it's been done. Nobody knows how long you can go and sing and sing and sing, you know? I mean, someone needs to tell Vince Neil maybe to
when you start sounding like a choked chicken, you know.
Yeah.
Then yeah. That's always the thing that gets me about the whole Motley Crue thing is that everyone talks about how they use backing tracks and all this kind of stuff. And for what I've read, they do use backing tracks, but they're for cues. They're for, you know, time. They're not to replace the performance. And if you were going to use backing tracks, what's the one guy you would replace his track? Come on now. I mean, all the people who complain about it, you're complaining because Vince Neil sucks so bad now.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. But you know, like I just can't ever wrap my head around it. Like that would be the guy if you were going to replace somebody, with a backing track, it would be Vince Neil.
I mean, some can argue as well. They could say Axl too. But, you know,
Axl still has some good days, you know.
Did you see them at all on that tour?
No, I have this aversion to seeing the guys that I loved and worshipped as a kid now, because I don't want that image to be ruined.
Gotcha. Yeah, understand.
Yeah.
I got tickets for May 1st and 3rd in Nashville to see Metallica on those 2 days. And, you know, the first day is like Pantera and Suicidal. And then the second night is Limp Bizkit and Ice Nine Kills. And,
right, dude, that's awesome. I would totally go see Metallica again. I mean, I've seen them once, so.
Yeah, they're great. I think, man, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Those dudes are solid as fuck live. You know what I'm saying? And it's I don't give. They did a lot for the metal. Look what they did for metal. You know, they introduced so many new people to metal. You know.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people shit on him a little too much. I do think Lars is like the laziest drummer of all
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Like he practically created a genre of music, or was one of the godfathers of creating the genre of music.
Yeah.
And now he barely can remember the songs, and he just fakes his way through it, man. Like, yeah, there's a he was sick one time, and they were doing the Download Festival.
Oh, bro, and when Joey Jordison came out,
Yeah, and Dave Lombardo, and you're like,
yeah,
this is what Metallica should sound like.
yeah, man.
You know, I get not. It doesn't have to be double bass the whole time and be cliche and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, I think their riffs would be even better if they knew that the guy playing behind them could keep up with them. I feel like the riffs are kind of dumbed down a lot because of that. But
Yeah, I think it was crazy to see because like when those two dudes were on drums, like they had to speed up a little bit on some of them shit because they were just like.
I
And
mean,
they're just like,
it was a little excessive. I won't lie, but it was great to hear him at that tempo,
yeah.
and just to hear the steadiness of the double bass. You know, like the Lombardo and Joey Jordison. It was like, yeah, it was pretty dope.
I got to see Mr. Bungle earlier last year, and I got to see Mike Patton. That's because I mean I'm doubt I ever get to see Faith No More. Then I get to see Scott Ian, and I kept forgetting. Oh yeah, Dave Lombardo's back there too. I just didn't see him because all I had right in front of me were those two, and I was like, oh, there he is. I see his hat back there because he's so low down you couldn't see him, but it was pretty cool.
I saw Faith No More once, way back in the day. They played the college here, and it was Babes in Toyland, Caius, and Faith No More, and I didn't care about anything except for Caius.
Dude.
I was like, Caius, 100% Caius all the way. I didn't. All my friends were all Faith No More, and I was just like, fuck Faith No More.
92 in Santa Cruz, I saw White Zombie, Danzig, and Caius.
Oh, that tour was supposed to play down in this area, and it got canceled for some reason.
Really? Because I was like, that's How the Gods Kill. How the Gods Kill was that the tour they were on, and then it was right when White Zombie was breaking, you know, and Caius, I didn't know who the fuck they were, but I love that Thumb song, you know what I'm saying? And then look what that band spawned out of, you know?
Yeah.
So
I was all about. I blew 2 sets of speakers to that band.
Oh, nice.
Home speakers that I got, and it was all about playing Green Machine over and over again.
Great. You know, I'm glad I got to see them because a lot of people, so many people love that band now, you know, and it's like no one will ever get the chance to see them, you know.
People trip out. Like I've had conversations with people about that are into the stoner rock and doom scenes, and they're like, "You got to see Caius?" I'm like, yeah. I even bought a shirt that wouldn't fit my fat ass. It was like proof of life, man.
You know, I have it's like the card from the show, and I have it's the Caius card, but on the back it has Glenn Danzig's signature, Rob Zombie's signature, and Chuck Biscuit's signature on the back of it.
Rad.
Yeah, I still have it saved. So in my little book, my little notebook of stuff from when I was a kid. What was the last concert you have gone to?
Let's see. Last show. Well, I work at a venue now, so
okay.
So that's not exactly the fairest question. Let's see. What's the last show I went to? I went to Fresno and saw a friend's band. Well, it's a friend of mine. So is in the band Exhumed.
Okay.
And the singer of Exhumed, Matt, he plays in a death tribute band called Left to Die. And they're amazing. It's with ex-members of Death. And I think that was one of the last shows I went to, was to go see that.
Left, is that the same Left to Die that's been around for years?
They've been around for a while, but they just do like Scream Bloody Gore, Leprosy era.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I got you saying now. Okay.
Yeah.
You said that's a different Left to Die, because there was like a hardcore band back in the day called Left to Die.
Oh no. It's
So this is kind of like what Max and are doing with Cavalera when they're touring around doing like Sepultura stuff.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Except, those guys are like the front of the stage and the back of the stage of the band, where
oh shit.
Where the death stuff is the guitar player, the bass player, and then drummer, and then the singer is from Exhumed.
Okay. Oh, okay. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be out that way next month. I haven't been back out to California in 7 years. So.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
What's gonna bring out?
My family. I got all my family lives out there. My mom and my stepdad and a brother live in Alabama now, and all my rest of my family are in California, Northern California.
Nice.
So yeah, like I said, I used to in middle school and high school, off and on. I was in Monterey, living on Fort Ord, the Army base that was there for a while.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so Monterey and Seaside and Salinas, those are my stomping grounds, So, but well, Frank, I don't want to have to keep you too much longer, since I screwed up our
No, it's all right.
interview.
You got any other... She's not here. She's not here yet.
Okay.
So if you got a couple.
Yeah, I got plenty of time, man. So you used to work at a record store, right?
Yeah, I worked at an independent. I worked independent retail for about 30 years.
Wow. And is that record store still around?
Say that again.
That record store that you worked for, right? Wasn't it like Boo Boo Records or something?
I worked there for 26 years. Yeah.
Wow. And that's still open and operating?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thriving as always.
Now, was there ever, because now vinyl is everywhere. You can't turn your head and not see vinyl, which is great. I think it's great. Did you guys ever have a slump?
Oh yeah. I mean, the whole industry had a slump.
Yeah.
Previous to the resurgence, with all the the Napsters and all the people downloading music, it got a little scary. There was like watching everything circle the drain, and then slowly things kind of picked up, and then it kind of showed, the vinyl resurgence kind of shows people that physical media is still wanted. It's still, like our parents had records, our grandparents had records, and there's no way to. What are you going to do? Grab your grandpa's phone and go through his Spotify playlist from that? I mean, that just doesn't even sound cool. And so, I think that's had a lot to do with it. There's a lot of factors into it. Like there were so many records out there, so there are pretty readily available for kids to get a hold of. They can get them from their grandparents, they can get them from their parents. They can buy new. And I think that just was a societal pay it forward, so to speak, and which helped keep it alive or help it come back and grow.
Yeah. Do you remember your first record?
My first, I don't remember my first cassette. I mean, first LP. I do remember my first 8-track.
Okay.
And my first cassette. My first cassette was Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil.
Okay.
And my first 8-track was Kiss Alive 2.
I was gonna say it's probably Kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first album that I ever received was Michael Jackson's Thriller. And then I got Run DMC's Raising Hell. And those are my first two records. And then my mom bought me the Jets, which was like a kid group, like kind of like Menudo.
Yeah,
but
they did a Dokken cover. of In My Dreams.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, those are my first ones. My first cassette I ever bought, and I remember the first album, CD, and cassette. The first cassette I ever bought with my own money was Skid Row's Self-Titled.
Nice.
And I was reading the little liner notes, walking down these busy roads in Germany to go to my mom's work. I'm trying to read them. And I didn't have a Walkman, so I'm just reading the lyrics like I know what the song sounds like, you know. And then then I think my next album, I believe it was Appetite by Guns N' Roses was my next one.
I bought that the day it came out.
Yeah, I was kind of like not really introduced to the rock world until I was in 6th grade, which was, I don't know, 87, maybe 88. So I didn't know a lot of bands. I got introduced to Metallica. Well, no, I lied. It wasn't that time. It's when Justice for All came out, whenever that was. So what year? 88? Was that 88? Maybe, I think.
Yeah.
My mom's friend's son brought over Justice for All and Number of the Beast.
Right.
He put them on, and I was like, "Oh, I don't like this shit."
Hey, man, I got it.
Okay, you're good, brother.
I got to bounce. I'd love to do this again, man, or continue if you'd like to later.
Yeah, we could do that. We could continue later, man. Because I mean, let me just end this real quick.